Picture this. It's 1964, and Chrysler executives are threatening to shut down the entire Dodge truck division. Ford and Chevrolet had already seized the compact van market 3 years earlier, leaving Dodge scrambling for survival. Their response was the A100 Pickup, a truck so bizarre that it literally saved the company's truck line from extinction. The A100 was what engineers call a cab-over design, but calling it unusual would be an understatement. The driver sat directly over the front axle, positioned so far forward they could practically shake hands with oncoming traffic. Even stranger, the engine wasn't under the hood like every other truck. Instead, it lived in a compartment between the driver and passenger seats, creating a hump that divided the cabin like a mechanical Berlin Wall. This wasn't just weird for the sake of being weird. The forward control design maximized cargo space while minimizing the truck's footprint. The A100 packed a 7-foot cargo bed into a vehicle shorter than most modern compact cars. But the engineering compromises were extraordinary. Drivers found themselves sitting with minimal protection from frontal impacts, essentially making the cab a crumple zone with windows. The engine placement created its own set of problems. Routine maintenance meant lifting the entire cab or working in impossibly tight spaces. The heat from the engine compartment made summer driving uncomfortable, and the noise levels were considerable. Yet Dodge persisted with this design for 7 years, producing roughly 107,779 vans and pickups combined. What made the A100 truly senseless was its timing and execution. While Ford and Chevrolet offered conventional designs, Dodge chose the most radical approach possible. The truck featured independent front suspension when most competitors used solid axles. It came with alternators when others still used generators. It even retained oil bath air cleaners, a nearly obsolete technology that most manufacturers had abandoned. The A100 offered multiple engine options throughout its run, from the reliable 170 cubic inch slant 6 to the powerful 318 cubic inch V8. The V8 models were particularly rare, making up only about 21% of 1966 production. These engines produced respectable power, but accessing them for maintenance remained a nightmare. Production numbers tell the story of a vehicle that found its niche despite its oddities. In 1964, at least 3,194 pickups were produced, with annual production averaging 30,000 to 40,000 units during peak years from 1965 to 1968. The longer wheelbase A108 variant appeared in 1967, stretching the wheelbase from 90 to 108 inches for customers who needed even more cargo capacity. The A100's claim to fame came through Bill Maverick Golden's Little Red Wagon, the most famous A100 in history. This exhibition dragster featured a supercharged, nitro-injected 426 Hemi mounted in the rear, creating the first vehicle capable of performing wheel-standing exhibitions at drag strips. The Little Red Wagon toured from the 1960s through the early 2000s, making the A100 synonymous with American drag racing spectacle. By 1970, market forces had shifted decisively toward traditional pickup designs. Japanese manufacturers were introducing reliable small trucks that offered conventional layouts with better fuel economy. The A100's niche appeal couldn't sustain production costs, and Dodge quietly ended the line. The final year brought technical updates, including a 198 cubic inch slant 6 engine and fully synchronized manual transmission for V8 models. But these improvements came too late to save the unusual truck. Today, surviving A100 pickups command serious collector attention. Values range from $15,000 to over $30,000 depending on condition and configuration, with V8 models being particularly sought after due to their limited production numbers. The forward control design makes them unique in the American pickup landscape, a reminder of when Dodge was desperate enough to try anything to survive in the truck market. While Dodge was experimenting with cab-over designs, another automotive oddity was brewing on the other side of the Pacific. In 1977, Subaru of America's president made an unusual request to the Home Office in Japan: build us a pickup truck to compete with Toyota, Nissan, and Mazda in the American small truck market. The result was the Brat, an acronym for Bi-Drive Recreational All-Terrain Transporter. and it became one of the most ingeniously absurd vehicles ever imported to America. The Brat wasn't really designed to make sense as a traditional pickup truck. Instead, it was Subaru's clever solution to a complex trade problem known as the chicken tax. This 25% import tariff on light trucks had been enacted in the 1960s as retaliation for European tariffs on American poultry exports. By the late 1970s, it was making Japanese pickup trucks prohibitively expensive compared to domestic alternatives. Subaru's solution was brilliantly ridiculous. They welded two plastic seats in the cargo bed, facing backward. This simple addition allowed the Brat to be classified as a passenger car instead of a truck, reducing the import tariff from 25% to just 2.5%. The seats weren't removable, weren't particularly comfortable, and offered absolutely no safety protection for passengers foolish enough to ride in them. But they worked, legally speaking. The engineering behind the Brat made more sense than its regulatory workaround. Based on the Subaru Leon station wagon platform, the Brat essentially took a proven all-wheel drive system and grafted a pickup bed onto it. This made it one of the few small trucks available with standard four-wheel drive at a time when most competitors offered it only as an expensive option. Power came from Subaru's distinctive boxer engines, mounted horizontally in the front of the vehicle. From 1978 to 1980, the Brat used a 1.6-liter EA71 engine, producing 67 horsepower and 81 pound-feet of torque. Starting in 1981, a larger 1.8-liter EA81 engine became standard, bumping power to 73 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque. For 1983 and 1984, Subaru even offered a turbocharged version producing 94 to 95 horsepower and 123 pound-feet of torque. The Brat's unusual features extended beyond the infamous jump seats. It came with a spring-loaded hidden door and side step for cargo bed access. Some models offered a T-top split roof option, effectively making it a convertible pickup decades before Dodge would attempt the same thing. The spare tire was mounted in the engine bay rather than the bed, maximizing cargo space. Even the cargo area was carpeted, another detail related to its passenger car classification. What made the Brat truly senseless was its market positioning. Here was a vehicle designed primarily to circumvent import tariffs, marketed to American truck buyers who generally preferred traditional pickup designs. The rear-facing seats became the vehicle's most distinctive feature, but they were essentially useless for adult passengers and dangerous for anyone brave enough to use them. Despite these oddities, the Brat found its audience. Blue-collar workers appreciated the fuel-efficient four-wheel drive capability for job site access. The vehicle developed a cult following among outdoor enthusiasts who valued its go-anywhere ability over its limited cargo capacity. Most famously, President Ronald Reagan owned a 1978 Brat that he kept at his ranch near Santa Barbara, California, throughout his presidency until 1998. The Brat's production run in America lasted from 1978 to 1987, spanning 10 model years. Interestingly, the vehicle was never sold in Japan. It was purely an export product designed for markets with specific regulatory requirements. After discontinuation in the United States, the Brat continued in international markets under various names, including Brumby, MV Pickup, Shifter 284, and Targa until 1994. Sales figures weren't spectacular, but they were described as good from Subaru's point of view, given the company's limited market share in America. The vehicle's niche appeal couldn't compete with the growing popularity of conventional small trucks like the Ford Ranger and Toyota Pickup. By the late 1980s, America's fascination with car-truck hybrids had waned, and the Brat's tariff-dodging novelty had worn thin. The rear-facing seats disappeared after the 1985 model year, but removing the Brat's most distinctive feature didn't help sales. American buyers had moved definitively toward traditional pickup truck designs, and Subaru lacked the marketing muscle to convince them otherwise. The Brat was quietly discontinued after 1987, ending one of the automotive industry's most creative solutions to international trade regulations. Today, surviving Brats are highly sought after by collectors who appreciate their unusual place in automotive history. Average values hover around $15,557, with exceptional examples selling for over $46,000. The combination of low production numbers, unique design, and presidential ownership has made the Brat a coveted piece of 1980s automotive Americana. If the Brat proved that unusual trucks could find niche markets, the Dodge Dakota Convertible demonstrated that some ideas are simply too bizarre for any market to embrace. In 1989, Dodge took their successful mid-size Dakota pickup and did something that hadn't been attempted since 1931. They cut off the roof and called it progress. The Dakota Convertible emerged from what seemed like sound marketing logic. Dodge had introduced the Dakota in 1986 as a pioneering mid-size pickup, larger than compact trucks like the Ford Ranger and Chevrolet S10, but smaller than full-size pickups. It filled a genuine market gap and sold well. Someone at Dodge apparently looked at this success and thought, you know what would make this better? A convertible top. The project required partnership with American Sunroof Corporation of Warren, Michigan, a respected name in automotive roof modifications. ASC had successfully converted numerous cars to convertibles, but a pickup truck presented unique challenges. The contract, signed in 1988, called for ASC to perform roof removal, roll bar installation, and convertible top addition on Dakota Sport trim models. The resulting vehicle was marketed as a bridge between the working world and the fantasy of fun and sun. In reality, it was an expensive compromise that satisfied neither practical truck buyers nor convertible enthusiasts. The 1989 base price of $14,425 was considerably higher than a standard Dakota, and buyers got questionable value for their extra investment. The Dakota Convertible's specifications were respectable enough on paper, built on a 112-inch wheelbase with overall dimensions of 192.2 inches long, 72.3 inches wide, and 67.1 inches tall. It maintained the Dakota's practical proportions. The curb weight of 3,950 pounds wasn't excessive for a mid-size truck. Standard power came from a 3.9-liter V6, producing 125 horsepower, paired with either a 5-speed manual or 4-speed automatic transmission. Four-wheel drive was available as an option. Standard equipment was generous, including velour seats with vinyl inserts and accents, power windows and door locks, cruise control, fog lights, anti-lock rear brakes, and an AM/FM stereo with cassette player and 4-speaker system. Air conditioning was standard, a necessity given the convertible's limited weather protection. The manual folding vinyl convertible roof was the centerpiece, though calling it a selling point would be generous. The problems began with the convertible top itself. Unlike car convertibles that folded neatly behind the rear seats, the Dakota's top created an unsightly bundle of vinyl at the rear of the cabin when lowered. The plastic rear window fogged up and distorted easily, making rearward visibility poor, even when the top was up. The vinyl material provided minimal weather protection compared to a proper hardtop, and the manual operation was cumbersome and time-consuming. More fundamentally, the Dakota Convertible represented a solution looking for a problem. Pickup truck buyers prioritized practicality, durability, and capability over open-air driving experiences. The convertible top compromised structural rigidity, reduced weather protection, and added complexity without providing meaningful benefits for typical truck tasks. It was, in essence, a novelty vehicle in a market that valued function over form. The sales figures told the brutal truth. Dodge produced 2,842 units in 1989. Which might have seemed encouraging until the second year arrived. 1990 production plummeted to just 909 units, and 1991 saw a mere 8 vehicles produced to fulfill contractual obligations with ASC. Total production reached only 3,759 units, making it one of the rarest convertible pickups ever produced. Color options were limited, reflecting the vehicle's niche status. 1989 models came in black, white, or red. 1990 added Colorado red, bright white, and Daytona blue to the palette. The limited color choices suggested that Dodge expected modest demand, but even their conservative projections proved overly optimistic. The Dakota Convertible's failure wasn't due to poor execution of the concept. ASC performed their modifications competently. Rather, it demonstrated the fundamental mismatch between convertible characteristics and pickup truck expectations. Truck buyers wanted vehicles that could handle weather, work, and wear without complaint. The convertible top introduced vulnerability to all three. Contemporary reviews acknowledged the Dakota Convertible as an interesting concept, but criticized its practical limitations. The vehicle was dangerous in ways that few trucks had ever been, with reduced structural integrity and questionable weather protection. The target market of lifestyle buyers wanting pickup utility with convertible experience proved to be vanishingly small. Competition came primarily from the Jeep Wrangler, which offered open-air driving with better off-road capability and a more removable roof system. The Wrangler had cultivated a specific image and customer base that appreciated its rugged simplicity. The Dakota Convertible, by contrast, seemed confused about its purpose and audience. By 1991, it was clear that the Dakota Convertible experiment had failed decisively. The contract with ASC was allowed to expire, and Dodge quietly moved on to more conventional Dakota variants. The convertible pickup concept wouldn't be attempted again by any major manufacturer, suggesting that the Dakota's poor reception had discouraged further experimentation. Today, the Dakota Convertible's rarity has made it a curiosity among collectors, though values remain modest. Examples typically sell for $1,500 to $10,000, depending on condition, with recent listings showing asking prices between $4,500 and $7,000. The low values reflect both limited demand and the practical challenges of maintaining a 30-plus-year-old convertible top system.